slides clearly. Can we go ahead?
Yes, please do.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you, Subodh and Muthu. First of all, I think I'm just proud to be talking as Rotarian Dr. Krishnan Swaminathan rather than Dr. Krishnan Swaminathan. So we're just one happy Rotary family across the world. And I just wish to thank all of you for this opportunity. I got great pleasant memories of UK. So I trained in Guy's and St. Thomas in London. I was there in Cambridge, Addenbrooke's for about a couple of years, and then Scotland for 10 years. So my accent is a mixture of Indian, Scottish, and English, I suppose. So I hope you're able to hear me clearly. But Birmingham, particularly, very pleasant memories. I got married in Birmingham, in our Venkateshwara temple there. And one can never forget the cricket matches we come at Edgbaston, the India-Sri Lanka and India-Pakistan matches. So it just feels like home talking to you from here. So for the next 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to talk about the work we do for underprivileged children with insulin-needing type 1 diabetes. And a lot of people are not aware that children can develop diabetes. In fact, the photograph you're seeing is from our Tanjore Medical College Hospital, where, in fact, we are going in a couple of days. There are around 70 children in that one single unit alone. And these are children as young as 8 months of age to 18 years, needing 4 times insulin injections for lifelong. And it's very different to the adult diabetes, where it can be managed with tablets for many years, and then some may need insulin. For children from day one, from the word go, they need to be on insulin. And again, if someone is very socioeconomically disadvantaged or underprivileged, it's a huge challenge. And being in UK for 16 years, it's a cliche almost to blame the NHS for everything. But it's just amazing what job the National Health Service does, because it doesn't matter whether one is rich or poor, everyone gets the same treatment. But in India, it's different. If you don't have money, the government hospitals, unfortunately, are not up to the mark. And there's a lot of issues around getting the best treatment if someone is socially disadvantaged. Next slide, please. So what about the burden of insulin-needing diabetes in young children in India? Again, we don't have any national registries here, but we guesstimate that there are around 500,000 children across India, and this might be an underestimate as well. And I can say for sure that there are more than 15,000 children in our state of Tamil Nadu. Again, it's the southernmost state in India. And most of these children are between 8 months to 18 years of age and needing 4 times insulin injections. And they have to do their fingerprint glucose testing for at least 4 times a day. And around 70% are very poor. And again, in the photograph, you can see Ramya. I'm going to show her story later. This is all she's got: a thatched hut, no electricity, needing 4 times insulin injection, and no fridge at home to store the insulin, where the potency is completely lost. Next slide. So this is what we've got to say, because most children come with a condition called diabetic ketoacidosis, which is severe diabetic coma, because the awareness of this is very poor. The child, we tell the 4 Ps: polyuria, polydipsia, polyphagia, and persistent weight loss. The child passes a lot of urine, drinks loads of water, keeps losing weight, and gets very hungry all the time. And a lot of parents, especially in India, in summer months, they think that it's related to the weather and ignore it, when in fact the glucoses in the UK level would go up to 30 to 40 millimoles per liter, and they end up with severe dehydration and diabetic coma, and many children die if not treated properly. So once getting across the red line after treating the diabetic coma, we got to tell this poor parent that their child needs to be on 4 times a day insulin injections for lifelong with persistent glucose monitoring, and just omitting 1 day of insulin will put the child back into diabetic coma. And for those who have not been to India, 1 hospital admission in a private hospital will be costing around 150,000 rupees. which is way beyond the reach of many poor families. And again, even if the child comes out of it, if the glucose are not properly managed, most of the children die by 15 to 20 years of age with kidney failure, blindness, and other complications. And there are huge financial implications for a poor family if they have to buy insulin out of pocket. And again, government hospitals, the insulin potency is a bit questionable. Cold chain storage is there, and the needles are pretty big for a poor child to get 4 times a day. But the great news amidst this pessimism is that if we properly manage them, they can lead a normal, healthy life that any rich kid or any other child in a Western nation can live in. Most of these children are extremely intelligent. They know how to manage it once you educate them properly. Next slide. So coming from Scotland to India, 2011, the first month of my practice, I was just sitting doing nothing. And one day around 5 o'clock, I thought I should just go home. And there was this emergency admission. So there's a boy called Arjun. For 3 days, the parents did not have money to buy insulin. And this child went into diabetic coma and cerebral edema. There was this huge swelling of his brain, and he was declared dead in a government hospital nearby. And this child was actually being taken by an auto rickshaw for his final rides to his home. And as the auto was crossing our emergency, where the hospital I worked, I don't know what intuition this mother had. The photograph, you see the mother behind. She had an intuition and a gut feeling, and she said, get the auto to the emergency of my hospital. So on that day, this mother fell on my feet saying, Doctor, my son's 8th birthday is in a couple of days' time. And I think I'm going to be the most unfortunate mother where my son's birthday and death anniversary is going to be on the same day. Doctor has been declared dead. We don't have any money. I'm not even sure why we came in here to do something. So I put the monitor on, and he was not gone. He was in pericardiac arrest. His heart was just stopping. So resuscitated him, got him to our ICU. On his 8th birthday in a couple of days, he recovered. And this photograph is etched in our memories, where we celebrated his rebirth in our pediatric intensive care unit with balloons around. And it was as though every single child in that pediatric ICU on that day seemed to have gotten better. So on that day, I thought that there's a reason why I've come back to India, because we have we're running the Idhayangal Trust from Scotland from 2004. So I thought maybe there's a reason why we are coming to India, and we're just going to focus on type 1 diabetes because I'm a consultant diabetologist and endocrinologist, and I'm going to see this day in and day out. So our vision, mission, dream, everything is the same. We are not going to let one single poor child with type 1 diabetes suffer for want of best treatment that a rich child can get. And this boy came a couple of weeks ago to our center, now around 14 years of age, doing extremely well. So Arjun's rebirth was the birth of Idhayangal Charitable Trust, the India now. Next slide. And I keep saying that nowadays we think the pain is not having a Merck like our colleague, or a problem with the car or the house or whatever. In India, every single day in my practice, the definition of pain is to tell a parent that their child is dead and we don't want to do it anymore. And this family lost Satya Prakash at 25 with advanced kidney failure because he didn't have money to buy the syringes. He would use the same insulin syringe for 30 days. And by 20s, he got into kidney failure. So this family lost a dad, a son, and a husband. And Satya Prakash held my hand to die a couple of years ago from our emergency because he couldn't cope anymore. They've sold their house because one kidney failure costs around 9 lakhs per annum if you're going to treat it in a corporate hospital. And I asked Satya Prakash, what do you want? And he said, Doctor, I've got 2 wishes. One is, please take care of my daughter. She's very young. We have no money left. You've got to support her till her college education. And the next one is to ensure that there are no more Satya Prakashas. You can't allow a 25-year-old guy to go home to die for want of money and the best treatment. So it's in our dream. It's the reason why I'm sitting up at 1 o'clock to give this talk is to ensure that we make a change to the landscape of type 1 diabetes management in India. Next slide. And so this guy was lucky enough. He got his kidney transplant recently and doing really well, back to his normal life. So the great thing is if we put our heart and mind to it, we can completely transform type 1 diabetes management. Next slide. So this is the pain of a poor family with type 1 diabetes in India. The average income, especially the COVID time, has been really tough here, where daily laborers are greatly affected. So it's around 8,000 rupees per month, which is 80 pounds equivalent. That's the average income of a poor laborer with type 1 diabetes, especially they have a child with type 1. The cost of insulin is around 3,000 rupees per month. If you want to buy the best insulins outside, and consumables is around 1,000 rupees. And cost of one emergency admission is 80,000 to 150,000. And there's no cost attached to a child's life. Next slide. So Idhayangal Charitable Trust is an approved public charitable trust in India with a single aim of ensuring that no poor child should suffer, especially from rural underprivileged backgrounds, for want of best diabetes education and funds to get the insulin consumables and treatment. But we also want to empower and upskill families so that they can self-sustain the medical expenses in the long term. We rather want to teach them how to catch the fish rather than providing with the fish. And actually, it's the government's job that we are doing. So we are close contact with governmental health ministries and health agencies to try and improve policy making in these areas. Next slide. So these are a big focus areas. The immediate requirement is the best insulins and consumables. For example, what you use in the UK, the analog insulins is what we support for our children. Health insurance, again in India, if a child has type 1 diabetes, health insurance is rejected straight away because there's a huge risk of admission. So Idhayangal Charitable Trust is the only organization in India where pre-existing conditions have been waived off for our children. So around 200 children are covered by 2 lakh health insurance cover per annum. Insulin pump therapy, it's a gadget the size of a smartphone that completely transforms life because there's no more injections. Everything is on the button. Just a fridge costing 70 pounds. A lot of children come with diabetic coma for want of a fridge at home to store their insulins. So we're doing huge work on refrigerator support. Girls with type 1 diabetes, especially in rural areas, is a big issue. Because if a girl is on insulin in a rural village, it's very difficult to get married. So we are supporting underprivileged girls with type 1 with college education and placement support. And we are working at a ministry level intervention and looking at an exit strategy to try and empower families. Next slide. So next slide. So we just started with around 50 pounds equivalent. Next slide. And this was our first day inauguration 2017 officially with around 10 children and 5,000 rupees from my pocket. And over the last 5 years, we are now supporting close to 400 children. And our turnover is around 20 lakhs per month. So that's huge numbers. Next one. And we have adopted all the government hospitals across our districts. So these are all children from Coimbatore Government General Hospital, Salem, Tirupur, all the adjoining areas, all the government hospitals. We work very closely with the head of departments, and all these children are doing absolutely well. So over the last 1 year, there's been 0 admissions with diabetic coma in all these children over the last 1 year since we intervened. Before that, every year, each child got admitted at least 5 to 8 times with diabetic coma. And the parents were being told that their child will die at some point, and every day is a bonus. But now we are changing that to say that their child can lead normal, healthy, and very productive lives. Next slide. So this is a child for want of money and education. They were not aware of the seriousness of complications. She lost her right eye because of fungal sinusitis, but doing extremely well. She's holding up this ambulatory glucose profile showing a 3-month average of around 5.7%. She's wanting to be a doctor, studying really hard. She's doing her A-level equivalent now. Next slide. And Rotary in Idhayangal, I've got to be a very proud Rotarian because we can't do it without Rotary support. So our 42 Rotaries in Coimbatore, they've adopted one child per Rotary, and we are rolling out the same thing across all districts of Tamil Nadu state. And we've got a project Kadir, which is an international grant, which is just coming to an end with the club in US. And our club has got Project Madhuram, an international grant that has just been accepted. In fact, I was telling Muthu that maybe if your club would be interested, we can join. But again, this has been just about accepted at this point of time. But I'm just hopeful that we can join hands with your club in the future for a international grant. Next slide. So this project, Kadir, again, it's a Rotary project of $92,000 US, supporting around 60 underprivileged children. This Ramya Bharati, this child on the left, was again severe diabetic coma, and she made the first dance of her Attitude Club. And she got the Bravery Award from our chairman, Dr. Swami. This girl, Vasanta Sri, she lost the right ear because of fungal sinusitis due to poorly controlled diabetes. And this kid, after 6 weeks of intensive treatment, our trust supported her a lot. They had to get a huge amount to borrow with a lot of interest. And this kid, on the day of discharge, gave 2,000 rupees of the money to Idhayangal, saying, "Uncle, please have it for other children with type 1 diabetes." Even though they were down the dumps, extremely poor, this kid had the most generous heart to donate a small part of the money for other children for the trust. Next slide. And Project Madhuram just got inaugurated with our health minister recently, where around 72 children are getting benefited. So we got a partner in New York Club, as well as our local partners here. This is just getting started next month. Next slide. And so this is a story where this kid, glucose more than 40, and severe diabetic coma on deathbed. So we went, resuscitated this child at the government hospital. So there's no way you could keep a fridge in this house, because in a thatched roof, you can't have electricity because of the risk of burns or fire. So we went to a nearby shop, put the fridge there, educated the whole village, actually. And this kid is doing extremely well now. Glucose of around 30 to 40, coming down to 5 to 8 millimoles per liter within 3 months, and back to her school. Next one. And these are all fridges across the state. Just donating a fridge to keep the insulin reduces hospital admission by around 80% by preserving the potency of insulin. Next one. And we are very keen to place all these children. So the top girl here, Jeevita, did her college education through Idhayangal Charitable Trust support, and she's been employed as a junior accounts manager in her own trust. And the girl below, Anubharati, finished a teacher training with her support. And this kid was so good, she got a first salary, which is a meager 70 pounds equivalent, and she donated the first salary to other children of Idhayangal Trust. So this is what we want to do. We just simply don't want to support. We want to make them better citizens for the society and give something back from what they received for their own lives. Next slide. And Raghavardhini, again, this kid was actually declared, now doing really well 4 years down the line. Next slide. And Malarvidi, this is a great kid, glucose of around 700, which is equal to around 50 in UK millimoles per liter, from Coimbatore Government Hospital, doing extremely well, now on an insulin pump. And she flew her first flight, courtesy of Idhayangal Trust, to Chennai. And this little kid gave a talk to all the departmental heads from all the major medical college hospitals in Chennai on insulin pump therapy. So we're just really proud that our child, this one single child, is going to change the lives of thousands of children across the state, because she gave a talk to the health ministry, as well as to the National Health Mission and all the departmental heads in Chennai. Next slide. And then finally, we're just coming to the end. We can't keep on supporting. We don't know how long we are going to be there, how long Idhayangal is going to be there. So Project Shakti in Tamil means to empower. It's power. So we want to upskill families. So we have donated around 10 cows now, because that can sustain their insulin expenses for a long time. So sewing machines to around 20 families and work opportunities for all our families. Next slide. So this is just so heartening to see these families enjoying the cows and calves. And Nishant, her mother, she came and gave me 3,000 rupees this month based on the milk from the cow, which she used to buy her own child's insulin, so that we could support the next kid on the waiting list. There are hundreds and hundreds of children on the waiting list wanting to come in, but unless we can fix one child, we can't move to the next child. Next one. And this is from our club, Rotary Club of Coimbatore Gaalaxy. This is President Rotarian Karpakam Madam. So we donated around 15 swing machines, and we are training the women of the families as well. And they can earn around 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per month if they do this properly. Next one. So again, another family receiving the sewing machine. Next one. And this is Dr. Harshavardhan. He's the Central Health Minister a couple of years ago. So we flew to Delhi. It's being seriously taken up by the National Health Mission and by all the ministries to try and make type 1 diabetes as a priority area. Next slide. And I think this is the photo of the year. We want to break socioeconomic barriers. I don't think technology should be in the realms of the rich people alone. We want to ensure that technology like the instant pump therapy, the one she's holding, everything is on the button, no injections at all. And she has her dad and mother are not alive, and she lives with her cousin. This is the shack that she lives in, but doing extremely well and leading a very happy and productive life. Next one. So just to complete it, at this point of time, through Idhayangal Charitable Trust, 400 children are on the program, 100 still on the waiting list. So we've got around 150 children covered with health insurance. We give 1 crore worth of best insulins free of cost. We've donated 150 insulin pumps. It's one of the largest programs in Asia for underprivileged children in terms of pump therapy. Donated more than 250 fridges, and we support girls, especially for school and college education. And we run the Attitude Club to empower the children and their families. Next slide. So how can anyone help? Again, this is not for one moment asking for any help, but just to give a rough idea of what can be done. No contribution is small. I keep saying that every single rupee helps, and you wouldn't believe how even a 1 pound can be life-changing for a child. So 1 pound will buy 10 glucose strips. 5 pounds will buy needles for a complete month for a child. 10 pounds glucose strips and needles. 30 pounds for a month will support a child with the best insulins. 45 pounds will cover health insurance for 1 year for a child. 70 pounds will give a life-saving fridge for maintaining potency of insulin. 250 pounds will support complete school and college education for 1 year. And 360 pounds will support one child adopted for a year with the best insulins. And if there are people who want to do a one-off thing, 990 pounds will give to 1 insulin pump for a child, which is very life-saving. So these are many ways in which people can help. Next one. So I'm just proposing that if your Rotary is interested, looking into the near future, Project Soundarya, we lost this kid a few months ago, and in her name, we've got Project Soundarya supporting government hospital kids for glucose strips and needles. Project Shakti, rehabilitation of underprivileged families, is one area that we can work together. Insulin pump is something that can be life-changing. And we can also work for a Rotary International grant between our club and your club. And we do have a foreign clearance partner in Kote Foundation and Right to Live, so that we can receive money and British pounds through appropriate channels. Next slide. So Muthu has all my details. So if you go to Google and type in Idhayangal Charitable Trust or Dr. Krishnan Swaminathan, type on Diabetes India, you'll get our website. Please do make some time to go through it. Next slide, and the last one. And I just want to finish with this slide. This person here is Ramurthy sir. He's 96 years young. And pre-COVID, he called me once from Hosur, which is around 300 kilometers from my place. He said, Dr. Swami, I've heard about your work. I'm only 96. I'm unable to travel to meet you. Can you come and see me? I thought I should just get the blessings of this great person. And we went on a morning trip to Hosur. And after 10 minutes of listening to our conversation, he wrote a check. He's a retired pensioner. He wrote a check for around 4.5 lakhs, which is around close to 5,000 pounds. And I was there hoping he was going to give a check for 5,000 rupees or 50 pounds equivalent. And this retired pensioner gave most of its pensioners' money to Idhayangal Trust. And on that day, I couldn't speak. I had tears. I was choking. And as I was leaving his house, he came very slowly to the door and said, Dr. Swami, can I just ask one small favor? I said, sir, we're going to fall on your feet. Whatever you want, do let us know. And you know what he told? Dr. Swami, this money should go to every single poor child without any distinction of caste, creed, religion, or state. And you wouldn't believe the next week, we had Aisha from Erode, Steny from Namakkal, and Purnita, Hindu, Muslim, and Christian kids next week receiving insulin pumps from his contribution. So I just want to thank all of you for your kind attention. And I'm just grateful for this time and opportunity to speak to you today. Thank you.